This is your home for St. Cloud State hockey, keeping you up to date on the NCHC.
One-timer, come in, they score! Ripped in! A bomb from Permix!
Women's WCHA.
So Dana Rasmussen fires and she scores! Dana Rasmussen for the Huskies alongside
The National Hockey League.
Dwayne Kaprizov in for a chance to win it! He scores! Kirill, the thrill is for real! Welcome to the NHL, a game winner!
And everything from the state of hockey.
St. Cloud Cathedral is now 42.6 seconds away from wrapping up the school's first ever title.
Welcome to the Huskies Warming House Podcast Den.
Welcome back to the Huskies Warming House podcast. It is episode number 55 again, Nick, instead of episode number 56. And that's for a couple of reasons that we're going to touch on here. Obviously, normally today on Sunday is when listeners would normally get episode number 56 and the regular Centerized View news and notes portion of the show. We have something, hopefully, we just tested it tonight very painstakingly. As you can see, Nick is in his car at this particular point. Having a live show, hopefully on Wednesday night, and we will release more details about that once we confirm that things are working. Having a live show where listeners can come in, ask questions, we'll answer them, and we'll have essentially the Centerized View news and notes portion right before the NCAA Frozen Four gets underway the next day. So you won't want to miss it. We're excited for it, and it's a new step for us here at the podcast. With that being said, we did sit down with Luke Jaycox and Nick Oliver, a senior defenseman, and of course the assistant coach for St. Cloud State and the men's team. Nick, kind of an interesting interview with these guys. Obviously, two guys that are a little more laid back. What do we have to expect here for this interview?
Well, Luke, he's a guy that I don't think for a lot of Huskies fans jumps off of the score sheet, but he's a guy that does a lot of little things that makes others around him get on the score sheet. And number two, Nick Oliver, he's a guy that has been here. He was part of the 2013 team that's got the only other Huskies team that's made it this far. So, I mean, at the end of the day, he's got experience as a player and now as a coach. It's interesting to get his viewpoint now from the other side of the equation. And I think a lot of Husky fans are going to want to listen in on this interview to, see a guy that's been on, like we said, the player side, now the coach's side of both Huskies runs here deep into the Frozen Four.
Yeah, we're certainly grateful for them to take time out of their busy schedule. Obviously, a very hefty week coming up for them, but a very exciting one, and we won't keep you waiting. Episode number 55 of the Healthy Scratch interview segment.
And joining us now for the Healthy Scratch interview segment, your Northeast regional champions and a couple of members that were on that special team. We're still looking to essentially continue some much deserved success. So we have defenseman Luke Jaycox as well as assistant coach Nick Oliver. Boys, first of all, congratulations and thanks for joining us at a very tight schedule you guys are having right now.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's awesome to be here.
Luke, I'm going to start with you because you had quite, I should call it the championship game performance. You had a goal there to get your boys up, and that's with the second period, I believe, was when you scored your goal. First of all, how did it feel to get on the board and in a big game such as that? How did it feel?
Yeah, it felt great. I've been trying to get one all year, and we kind of had a little joke. I had a joke going with Minkle before the game, and that he had a feeling that it was my time to get one, and came at the perfect timing.
Yeah, I'm really glad you kind of save them all for the end. Your career high, or season high, I should say, is 4, which was actually last year. So hopefully you got a couple more in the bag for the last couple of the season here. Can you kind of walk listeners through that play and what you as a defenseman saw on that, and kind of maybe a culmination of not only what you saw, but what you've been working on in practice as far as the defensive core is concerned to be able to activate and score that goal?
Yeah, it all started with our forwards, Yami, Oaks, and Veter getting the puck in deep, and they made a cycle or two to, try and work their defenseman a little bit. And I saw Oaks walking up the wall, and we work on when the forward walks up the wall, the D are supposed to shift towards the middle, and the other the weak side D can start moving down towards the net. And Oaks threw into the net, and the rebound popped right to my stick, and I was just lucky enough to get it by the goalie.
Yeah, kind of a culmination of the hard work on both sides of the puck that I think this defensive core has really worked on all year. Moving over to you, Nick, with the forwards and defensemen, what can you say is a testament? Obviously, you guys aren't done yet, but the growth that you've seen from the forwards and defensemen in this group and kind of how they've grown over this year that many experts picked you not only to even get out of the NCHC playoffs, let alone make a Frozen Four.
Yeah, I think that that last point you made is stuck with our guys for most of the year, and I think it's been a nice little motivator for them as well. But no, I think whether it's the offensive side of the puck with our forwards and D seeming to be in rhythm and connecting and some of that stuff, I think it's just one of many things that this group has just grown with this year. And I give a lot of credit to the extra practice time we had earlier in the year that normally you don't get. Normally you're starting middle to end of September and you got 2 weeks and then you're playing games, but we had almost 2 full months to be on the ice, and it probably got long for Luke and the boys at times, but it was just part of the year and part of adjusting to it. And I think I give our guys a ton of credit and Luke a ton of credit, the leadership of just staying with that and using all that time and getting better and learning. And I think now at the end of the year, you're seeing a lot of those habits start to be ingrained, and hopefully that continues next week.
I want to go back to Luke, and I kind of want to piggyback on this, Noah, too, because and Nick, I'm going to kind of follow it up with you as well. But, at this time of the year, it's not more about the X's and O's, right, that makes teams successful. It's, how can each team stick to their game plan and really just manage the ups and downs, the emotions, right? Luke, you guys came off, you want to call it maybe not the most fun of championship games against North Dakota, but you hung with them for most of that night. I think a lot of us, the Utes are wondering how would this team respond to where you essentially entered that third period having the lead before North Dakota really sort of turned it on. But you responded nice. You were down 1 goal against BC, able to claw your way back to a 6-2 victory. And then against BU, again, gave it up the first goal, not seeming to get rattled. Then you end up winning that regional, again, 4-1. I guess, what can you say about the resilience of this group, Luke, that, it doesn't seem like even if you get up the first goal, it just doesn't bother you?
Yeah, we worked on our structures. All he said, we had a lot of time to work on that. It just becomes natural. And, when we're playing to our game plan, we're just, we use the saying dog on a bone a lot. So, that's, getting the pucks in deep and getting right back on top of them. And that's when we're the most successful is, when we're just, instead of thinking about what, the structure, the score or anything, we're just out there playing and it all comes naturally. So it's, the North Dakota game was a heartbreaker, but the Colorado College game, Duluth, and the North Dakota game, we played some really good hockey. It might not have ended how we wanted it to, but we were just able to carry it into the first game against BU, and we were really happy with what we were able to accomplish there, and then focus our sights on BC, and it all came natural, and we're very proud. I'm very proud of my teammates, how we came out and were able to battle it. Now we're moving on to Pittsburgh.
Nick, and then to follow up on that, obviously, very exciting times for both the team, Husky Nation here again at the Huskies Warming House podcast. This is I suppose the time of the year that Huskies faithful haven't seen in some time. Some teams that you actually are part of as a player, I suppose, because you've had that player perspective, Nick. So what do you think now, since your transition from being a player to a coach? What do you think is the most important thing that you're going to preach to your squad as you head into next week, heading to Pittsburgh with, you could call it, the glamour, the spotlights and all that stuff? How are you going to keep your team focused, and how are you going to continue to keep these guys motivated that, yes, you've had some really good performances, but you're not quite done yet. You got a couple more to go.
For sure. And I think the guys will be motivated. I think they see what's out in front of us, and obviously a great opportunity on Thursday against probably a top 3 team in the country all year, Mankato, watching them play. So I think the guys will be motivated. But, when we went through it in 2013, there was obviously a ton of excitement to get there, and it was a great accomplishment. And I think we were happy to be there, and there was so much buildup during that week and a half for the game. And then after 20 minutes, we were down 3-0, and it was tough to climb out of. So it went quick on us. And I think the biggest thing I learned from it is enjoy it and take it all in, because not many teams get a chance to do it. But in the same sense, there's got to be total focus, total buy-in, total commitment to your preparation to get ready for the game, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's two great teams facing off, and we expect a battle, and it shouldn't disappoint, I don't think, on next Thursday. So we just have to prepare and keep our sights right where they're at.
Yeah, and keeping that consistent mindset, Nick, there's one piece of St. Cloud State men's hockey equipment that I'm hoping is going to make the trip to Pittsburgh, and that is the Nick Oliver cutout. First of all, can you kind of describe to fans what that cutout is all about, and how it kind of became a thing in the locker room with the boys?
Cox, you would probably know better than I would, but one of our first days in Omaha, I walked into the rink and he was just sitting there staring me in the eye, and I was really confused, quite alarmed actually at why that was there and how the heck they got their hands on it. But I think that was the work of Brian DeMaine, Jeremiah Minkel, Jake Franzik, our strength coach. And I don't know if any of the boys were in on that one, Coxie, but it just kind of stuck. Like it's like a lot of things this year. Coxie can attest to that, but we have probably a handful of pretty good inside jokes this year that have kind of stuck and really become a part of our team and our culture.
Yeah, Luke, maybe kind of to piggyback off of that, do you have any more information about the cutout? And we try to keep it PG on this podcast, but are there a couple things? I know there's, when we were playing in college, we used to have a thing. We used to have a hard hat and a lunchbox that we used to give to the guy who, was the hardest working guy. Do you guys have things like that are kind of consistent motivators for you to kind of each be at your best each and every night?
Yeah, I'm not really sure where the Ollie cutout came from, but we also used to have an Aaron Rodgers one in a St. Cloud State jersey that would travel. I'm not sure if he is still around or if he's hanging on the wall at my house, but yeah, I'm not sure where it came from, but I love seeing it in the stands. But yeah, we actually have a Vikings helmet. It's like a plastic kind of just junky Vikings helmet. And, the games that we win, the guy that had it, from the previous game, he'll do a little speech and give it to, who he thought that, was the most valuable player on our team that night, and, help the team out, as much as they could. So that's kind of our one special hard hat that we do give out.
Yeah, but unlike the Vikings, you guys know how to win in the playoffs this year. So moving kind of into a guy that was mentioned earlier, and that is Brian DeMaine. Luke, you were kind of up close and personal with him throughout your collegiate career, and it really kind of culminated actually after the season, during the offseason last year. A moment where playing in Duluth, actually the last game Nick and I called in person together, March 6th and 7th, you could barely get over the boards. Some days it was hard for you to get up and walk at times. You underwent double hip surgery. Can you kind of take us through that build up to that surgery, kind of what you were going through, and then from there, how that transition has been to be able to get back on the ice this season and be so successful?
Yeah. That last season, my hips have been, since freshman year, they've been getting worse and worse. And then last year it got to a point where, like you said, getting up and walking around, getting out of bed in the morning started to get painful. And, Brian did a great job last year of keeping me able to play. There was a lot of hours on the training table with the gun, or we have a kind of a warm tub with a massage jet, and just, a lot of work. And I have to give Brian a huge thank you, because, I probably wouldn't be, where I am today without him, after all the time I spent with him this summer. But yeah, we were able to, because the season ended, I was able to get my first surgery last March, and then I did the other side a month later in April, and I spent the whole summer in St. Cloud here doing rehab with him, and then Chad Ritter up at St. Cloud Orthopedics, and then training with our staff here too, Jake Franzik, Nate Wiley, and then John Swanson. And those guys prepared me for this season, and I'll always be grateful for all the time and energy that they were able to put me to, give me the success that I have had this year.
Luke, you bring up a good point, because, good teams, you don't make it to this far without, just a plethora of people that are behind the scenes, athletic trainers, equipment staff, student information directors. There's so many people that are behind the scenes that often will get the credit they deserve. And, it's a testament to, or even, just, it's not a small thing per se, but, when you're just trying to, play in night in, night out, sometimes, just, a little bit of the Theragun, or maybe a little bit of time with the massager can really do help. Speaking of it, you could say maybe it's a good transition to talk about, maybe some not so great news. And that was unfortunately senior Easton Brodzinski going down during a pretty clean check again in the championship game. Luke, when you guys saw it, when Brodzinski was down, first of all, what was your reaction about it? And I guess, we know what happens after that, but how tough was it to see, one of your seniors go down the way that he did?
Yeah. Me and Broads, we were roommates freshman year. So, we've been best buddies, the last 4 years. He comes up and goes fishing with me and on Lake of the Woods in the summer, and we go duck hunt when we got free time down here. So it was definitely tough, to see one of your brothers be hurt and, go down and, not be able to leave the ice on his own power. He was able to get carried off, but, it kind of motivated us a little bit more because, he is a part of the team and we want to be able to, give him the win because we know that he would have loved to be there, scoring goals and, trying to, shoot the puck from anywhere because that's the kind of guy he is. He just loves throwing the pucks at the net and he's got a gift at it, but I've been talking to him the last couple of days and he's doing real well. His spirits are high. Of course, he'd love to be able to play this coming next weekend or when we're in Pittsburgh there, but he'll be with us and, we're going to try to keep working for him.
Yeah, I definitely want to touch on some Lake of the Woods stuff with you, Luke, in a little bit here. But moving over to Nick, speaking a little bit more about Easton Brodzinski, because you've got a chance, like many of these players, to watch them grow and develop and continue not only as hockey players, but as men as well. And we don't know, obviously, and this is something we'll touch on in the offseason, whether or not Easton decides to stay or decides to carve his own path in the next step. But for this group and for his time at St. Cloud State thus far, Nick, what can you say about Easton, and especially this year as a senior leader on this team, what he's meant and what he's still going to be able to give this group, even though he's not able to lace up the skates?
Yeah, Easton's a big part of a lot of success here over the last 4 years. And Easton and Luke's senior class were one of the most successful classes that have come through. And Easton, like I said, is a big part of that. Obviously, his offensive production people look at, but what a lot of people haven't seen, just his growth and development in terms of how he shows up to the rink every day, his work habits, his commitment to rounding his game out, away from the puck. And guys see that, and teammates gravitate towards that. And I think in him and I had this talk probably at the end of last year, middle of last year at some point, and obviously going into this year. But when your best players are your hardest workers and your teammates see that, and they see your buy-in and your commitment to doing things the right way every day, it has an immense effect on the group. And I just think that's where Easton's gotten so good is the guys see that he cares and he's committed to making his own game better. And he's a competitor. He wants to win. I think when we saw him on the ice, not able to get up on his own power, we knew something was wrong. And like Luke said, I think as a group and the players, they wanted to get that one done for him.
Yeah, Nick, sticking with you here and talking about the development process, it doesn't only involve players, it involves coaches and learning how to kind of adjust, with the different maturities that come in each year with a group. You had an interesting mix here where you have some guys who are very young, kind of that young raw talent, and then you brought in some older transfers that really help solidify that veteran experience as well. I want to go back to a moment in Sunday's contest, actually two of them, and we talked about it on the show. It's actually the net coming off its moorings, and then also, of course, Nolan Walker getting a penalty for just being a darn good hockey player on a nice hockey play there. And we kind of had a good camera angle of the coaching staff kind of calming the boys down a little bit and kind of helping them mentally readjust. And that's something that we mentioned, sometimes we haven't been able to see from some of these other St. Cloud State teams where that adversity maybe was the turning point there. What has been the message from this coaching staff to kind of continue to just keep the train rolling, try to stay even keel? Do you talk about that as coaches, and how do you kind of get that? It's not even almost buy-in, but just keeping the boys just kind of level-headed on the task in front of them.
Yeah, well, good question. In all honesty, it starts with the guys and Luke and the leadership group. We have a saying that whenever we have captains meetings, the most important thing, or team meetings, the most important thing is the meeting after the meeting, and it's when the coaches walk out of the room. What does the rest of the group say, right? Because they're going to listen to what we're saying. Some might nod their head and some might be half asleep, if it's a morning practice, but it's the meeting after the meeting where that's really where you see what you have in terms of leadership and the quality of the people in the locker room. But no, I think our main messages lately have just been, it's about us and it's about this group and the love and the commitment that these guys have for each other in this program. And that's all we've been focused on is can we live up to that every day? And these guys have been lately. Like practice every day is competitive. It's got spirit. The guys are their preparation's been amazing. So for us, even in those moments of adversity in games, it comes back to that. It's about our group. It's about trusting what we built and what we're doing and where we're continuing to go. But again, that's all the guys. Like we're as coaches, you try to send the right message always and have the right plan in place. But at the end of the day, especially this time of year, like we're opening the door and those guys are going out and playing, and they're the ones that are out there getting it done. So give those guys a ton of credit.
Speaking of those guys, Luke, I do want to ask you just, a little bit more of that conversation that's happening on the bench, right? You guys go down 1-0 in both those games. I think a true testament to any hockey team is when you have adversity, but it doesn't seem to bother you. And that's obviously coming from an outsider's perspective. In both those games going down 1-0, who was on the bench that's, talking to each other like, hey guys, we're good, or that was a bad bounce, or I guess, who's kind of leading the charge, or is it more of a group mentality? What's being communicated within the boys on the bench to really just keep things in focus and know that was maybe just one shot and we're still in this hockey game?
Yeah, it's definitely a group group effort of keeping everybody calm. There's times where, a ref makes a bad call or there's they make a non-call and, there'll be a guy, usually it's me, that's yelling across the ice or something. And I'll have to get told, settle down. It's okay. Yeah. And, you listen to your teammates because it doesn't do any good to be yelling and, it doesn't do any good to get flustered about either. So it's definitely all of us, pulling the same way. And, we always go back to saying the saying on the bench, trust our structure. And our structure doesn't just mean X's and O's. It means everything we've talked about with handling emotions and adversity and, just having trust. A huge word for us is trusting each other, trusting the structure, trusting what we do. And, everything's going to work out just the way we want it to, as long as, we stay calm and never panic. That's a big saying for us too, is never panic.
Speaking of never panicking, staying calm, and waiting for the next opportunity, Luke, we're waiting for your next step, obviously, when you get done with your St. Cloud State hockey career, whenever that is. And there's a specific place in between Warroad and Baudette up on Lake of the Woods that you've been working for the past couple of years that might play a factor, hopefully, maybe in your future endeavors as well. Can you tell listeners what resort you work at and maybe where you kind of want to end up full-time as a manager at some point in your life?
Yeah, I work up at Zipple Bay Resort. It's just north of Williams, Minnesota. So yeah, right between Baudette and Warroad. And, it's a great place. I've worked there. This would have been my 5th year. I didn't get up there very much because I was dealing with my hips and all the rehab and spending a lot of time down here doing that. But yeah, the people that own it, they gave me a job 5 years ago, but they've known my dad for many years because he's been doing he's got his own little fishing business up there too. But yeah, they gave me a job 5 years ago, and I'll be forever grateful for them. They've turned into kind of a grandparent figure for me, and we're super close, and they're just such giving people. And yeah, I love the resort life. You meet new people every day, you get to hear a lot of good stories, and I'm just kind of a guy that likes going around and BSing with people, and I guess I'm pretty good at it. So, and let alone I get to go fishing most days, so that's not bad either.
Yeah, well, maybe you can take Nick Oliver's spot as BS and everybody. I'm just kidding, Nick. But here's what I want to know is if Nick Oliver ever shows up at Zipple Bay Resort, like what's the thing to do? If he spends a priority pass, gets all day with Luke Jaycox, where are you taking Nick in that day? Where's the spot to be?
Wherever the fish are. Some days you got to find them. Some days you just end up on top of them. But he's a Roseau boy. He knows like the woods like the back of his hand too. So maybe he could give me a few pointers if I can't get on him for him.
Not just a hockey coach, but a fishing coach, huh, Nick?
Not much of a coach. No, not much of a coach. I'm like they always say with coaching, you're a better coach with better players, right? Like, so for me, I'd be a better fisherman if I had a good guide like Coxie. So that's I'm riding his coattails.
So the main question here, Nick, though, that you might have to change his mind. Luke Jaycox, I believe, grew up a University of North Dakota fan. First, Luke, how did that come about? I feel like maybe TJ Oshie might be involved in that one. I don't know. And second of all, have you turned into a St. Cloud State Huskies fan at this point in your career?
I'm definitely a full-blooded Husky fan now. But yeah, Grand Forks, it's 2.5 hours from Warroad. So, you saw the culture there growing up in the old WCHA, playing the Gophers. Not a big Gopher fan, never was. And so I was a North Dakota fan back in the day, and they were having success back then too. And that's kind of the way it is up there. Is there's it's our kind of our home team because it's the closest to us. Because Warroad ain't close to nothing. But I was a fan, but not anymore. I'm a Husky, baby.
Yeah, I love it. I also love the story about you potting a goal pretty much in the crease against the University of North Dakota at Ralph Engel. So that building gets pretty quiet when the visiting team scores. Gotta love that. Nick, I want to ask you a question actually about Mankato, and not about their team themselves, but you actually got to kind of see the tail end of that old WCHA era. And right now, you guys are the team that could put the last men's hockey team to ever exist in the WCHA in over 70 years out on the street and into the golf course. What would that moment kind of mean for you and this group to kind of continue to punch more tickets this weekend against, someone who might have grown up watching Mankato? And who was your team actually when you were growing up, Nick?
Well, being a Roseau guy like Coxie up north, I don't want to sit on the fence on this one, but I don't know that I had a team. Like I liked watching North Dakota. I watched Minnesota. I watched Duluth. I watched St. Cloud. I was a fan of the WCHA. So when I started going through the recruiting process, I probably, I'm so thankful I ended up in St. Cloud, but I probably would have went anywhere in the WCHA. Like I just thought that so much of the league. Thankfully things worked out at St. Cloud, and obviously it's a big part of where I am now. But no, Mankato, like they're getting a feel for them. And like I mentioned earlier, I watching a lot of college hockey this year. I think they're a top 3 or 4 team that we probably watched this year and seen. And their MO is a lot similar to ours. Like they're an older team. They're a bigger team. They want to play heavy. They want to wear you down. They have a great goaltender. They have depth. They have depth with their scoring. So we got to see them last year, and we know that there's a lot of firepower on their group. And so we'll prepare accordingly, and we'll prepare for one heck of a battle next Thursday. But, I think our focus right now is on us and preparing our game plan and how we want to come out and jump the gun on Thursday.
And Nick, I want to follow up with that because, with the way that college hockey was this year, nobody played out of their own conference, which means you saw a lot of the same teams quite a bit. I mean, you've already seen Duluth 7 times, and yet here the last 2 contests, you never saw BC came in with a victory, never saw BU came in with a victory, and now you're trying to do the same thing now at the next level with Mankato. I guess, as from a coaching perspective, when you're trying to prepare for these teams that, you see maybe with film, and maybe catch them on TV here and there. There's a balance, I would imagine, right? Because you want to make sure that you're giving yourself the best chance to succeed, but you also want to make sure that you stay true to your identity as a hockey squad and what makes you successful. Nick, how do you find that balancing act? And I guess what's the most important point from your coaching perspective as to how to carry forward the best game plan into next Thursday?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question, because obviously this year's been different, playing NCHC games only. But no, you know what, as a staff, it's kind of fun watching some other teams and some other leagues. And, last week I probably got to watch about half of Hockey East play. So you get a feel for different teams and different styles of hockey. But ultimately it comes down to how we want to play the game. And in all honesty, I don't know how much that changes game to game or opponent to opponent. In the NCHC, you're fighting big time battles every single night. And you look at the, you mentioned Duluth 7 times. You finished the year with Duluth three out of our last 5, North Dakota, CC. So that's just kind of how we've had to build it up and how we've had to play. So yeah, obviously there's different tendencies with different teams that you'll see, and obviously giving our guys a feel for that and who their top players are, and probably the biggest thing is special teams. But outside of that, I think it's about how we want to play and executing our game plan.
And just to follow up on that quick, Luke, it was listening to Brett Larson's press conference in the NCAA Frozen Four here just a few days ago. And, we compliment the NCHC as a conference in so many different ways, right? But I think one of the big things that he was very complimentary on was, when you play in such a good conference, and I think, we could all sit here very comfortably and say that it is the best conference in all of college hockey, no question about it. But because you're playing, it seems to be playoff type hockey every single game. Luke, do you feel like that just kind of gives you guys a little bit extra ease, knowing that you've been playing these tough battles, all year already, and that you feel mentally prepared, you're prepared physically? Does that ever cross your mind at all, Luke?
Yeah, we play a lot of good teams, like you said, in our conference, but there's a lot of other good teams in other conferences too. So, we just focus on ourselves and what we have to do to be prepared to play, anybody, whether it's BC, BU, Mankato, whoever it might be. Our coaching staff does a great job spending countless hours doing video and research in this teams to, best prepare us for, what would be the best forecheck, neutral zone, how could we play, maybe change our structure up a little bit to benefit us the most. And, we're, like I said, it doesn't matter who we play. We're just going to believe in, our structure and in each other, because that's what it comes down to the most, is if you got trust in the guy next to you that he's going to pull his weight, then you better be pulling your weight too.
Yeah, we're recording this show actually on April Fool's Day, April 1st here. And I almost decided of thinking about bringing a picture of Luke Jaycox historical photos, because he had the spiky hair freshman year and the lettuce has been getting longer and longer as we've gone. But Luke, you spent 3 years with Warwood High School and then moved 3 years in the USHL in Lincoln before coming to St. Cloud State. But I want to kind of talk about off the ice here. And the reason I mention our showtime and recording is you have one more weekend before you get ready for the biggest week of battle of your lives, right? But I kind of want to talk about your living situation. I want to talk about what are you going to do in your downtime? Who do you live with? What are some things you kind of like to do when you're hanging out? And while you're answering that question, I want to ask Nick Oliver to start thinking about if he can remember who he lived with through the majority of his time and what his living situation was like going back to 2013. So Luke, what do you like to do in your downtime and who are you living with?
This year I'm living with our sophomore guys. So upstairs we live in a duplex type deal. So there's 6 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. It's a real nice place. And yeah, I live with Chase Brand and Thomas Rocco upstairs. And then downstairs it's Joey Lamoureux, Kyler Kupka, and Zach Okabe. And, living with those guys, there's never a dull moment. They're kind of younger guys and they bring pretty good spirit to the house. You can always hear them yelling or arguing about something, or, we got a basketball hoop on the wall downstairs. So that's always a constant noise too. So, but yeah. And then in the downtime, we kind of all, our generation, we all got Xboxes or whatever. So that's something that we do too. But now that the weather's getting nice again, and last fall we had a lot of downtime with the whole COVID stuff, and there was times where we couldn't come to the rink. So we do we go down to a soccer field and play soccer, but we also pretty much half the team all got golf memberships. So we were golfing 18 to 36 holes 4 or 5 days a week. So that's just something we do too. But like I said earlier, there's a couple guys that I do some hunting stuff with. Me and Brodzinski, Zemer, Henches, and Spencer Meyer. We had a lot of time this fall to do duck hunting and some goose hunting. So, that's always fun. And then in the wintertime here, me, Brods, and Brady, And then we'll bring a couple other guys out ice fishing with us too. We're kind of some blue collar guys that like, spending time in the outdoors. And yeah, so anything that we can do to, kill a little bit of time after leaving the rink. Cause we have morning practice from 9 till about noon. And then you're usually here till, 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So after that, you kind of got the day. So you just try and find some stuff to keep you busy. And, there's a good handful of us that like spending our time outside.
Fishing and hunting sounds a little prototypical Northern Minnesotan, if you ask me. I kind of wanted to ask about another guy too, and I don't know if you've been to his place. Is the word true that Seamus Donahue has kind of a penthouse style apartment, a pretty nice place or something like that? I remember reading something, and I just wanted to kind of know what is there something that makes his living situation a little bit different from the rest of the boys, or what?
Yeah, so our other house, it's a 10-man house. So it's the bottom floor is 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and then up in a kitchen, living room, like a whole house or whatever. And then upstairs is the exact same. And then the 3rd floor, it's 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. And it's kind of just, sloping ceilings like this. So I actually lived up there with Jacob Benson my sophomore year. So I kind of had to walk around like this, or else you whack your head on the ceiling a few times. If you're walking through the hallway in the dark, you're definitely going to hit your head on something. But no, it's a pretty cool place to live. Up above all the boys, you look out the window, you got a pretty good view of, St. Cloud and what's going on down at the street. But yeah, it's kind of cool up there.
Yeah, Luke Jaycox, 6'3", 205. I can definitely imagine that you'd be hitting your head. Also, Jacob Benson, a guy that I actually played, it was in my age group from North Dakota, so that's a name I know very, very well. But kicking it back a couple more years in the time clock, Nick Oliver, what was your living situation like? Were there a couple of guys that were consistent roommates? And do you remember any kind of the shenanigans that are somewhat PG appropriate that you guys used to be up to in your downtime?
Yeah, I had the same roommates for 3 years. So I roomed with Ryan Farragher in the dorms my freshman year, and then sophomore through senior year, it was myself, Brooks Birch, Andrew Prochnow, and David Morley. So we actually lived right across the street from the rink, and connected to us on the other side was Nick Dowd, Nick Jensen, Kevin Gravel, and Joe Philippi. So we always joked, like after the fact, obviously you look back and 3 of the 4 guys on that side of the fence played in the NHL, and we didn't quite get the same genes over on our side of the duplex. But no, honestly, great. And Coxie's living it now, and when he's done, he'll know what I'm talking about. But awesome times, still in touch with all those guys. It's kind of fun now being on the coaching side with how excited the group that I lived with and that I played with are for our current team. I'm in a group text with those guys, and they're all watching the games and fired up. So it was fun though. No, we didn't quite decide to cut a hole out in the wall to connect our places. You had to walk downstairs and go outside. So we decided that we might get in a little too much trouble doing that. But no, it was a perfect setup.
Love it. Luke, I asked this question of everybody on the show that comes on because I want to test your memory skills since we tested Nick's here. Obviously, your 4th year as a St. Cloud State Husky. Do you remember who your first assist, aka first point as a St. Cloud State Husky, do you remember who it came against?
My first assist, I know my first goal was against Colorado College.
Yep, November 18th, 2017. That's correct.
Was there one before then?
No, first assist, not a first goal, but first assist. October 14th of 2017. I don't know if that'll ring a bell for you at all.
No, I don't have that good a memory.
He's just too good. He's just potting points left and right, boys. First assist against Alaska. So I just wanted to kind of see if we can jog your memory a little bit. I won't even ask Nick Oliver if he remember who his first point was against, because 1, I don't have it in front of me, but 2, I don't know if he'll remember. Oh, well, all right. Do you remember the play? Do you remember what happened?
I was driving to the net, puck went to the point, and I don't even think I saw the shot coming, and it somehow hit my stick or my shin pad and went in. So I got the puck still. That's the only reason I remember.
It's actually great that you mentioned that. It actually transitions well into my next question here. And boys, only a couple more for you. So thanks for joining us. We talked, Nick and I did on our show this previous Monday. And I made a point actually talking about how this group has a little bit different mentality from the groups of past years. And when I say this, I want to be careful because I don't want to offend the other groups, but in some ways I want to highlight this. And I mentioned that if more than one goal is scored against Mankato on Thursday, this will be the most successful group in St. Cloud State history. And Nick asked me what I meant by that. And what I meant by that, I had said that I don't know if this is the most skilled group that we've ever seen come through St. Cloud State, but the mentality is just a little bit different. And one of the things I want to point out about that is it seemed like every goal this past weekend, it wasn't this skill-based, high-flying, off the rush, tic-tac-toe type of play. Every goal was this gritty second chance opportunity. You look at Will Hammer's goal, getting the fourth rebound, laying in front of the crease. Nolan Walker with the attributes to, go to the net there. Luke Jaycox's goal off of a rebound, right, that's created by hard work down low from the forwards. Nick, I want to start with you. Is there something, and not to hype it up too much, but is there something about this group compared to years past that whatever it is with the team bond, whatever it is with the grittiness, is there something about this group that just seems to kind of be that extra level as far as just the ability and the willingness to go to every area of the ice and just compete harder and harder each night?
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that's really developed with our group. And I think St. Cloud's always been known as a skill rush-based, transition-based team. And I think our guys know that we still have that trick in our bag as well, with some of our speed and our skill that we have and the depth with that. But I think, and again, I go back to some of the hard games we played in our league, and teams defend so well, this time of year that I think it was a really a collective buy-in to say, these are the areas that we need to go to try to score goals in the playoffs and in the NCAA tournament. And whether it's the forwards or the defensemen, I think Coxie's been leading the charge with getting to the paint for a couple of years now, finishing some plays off. But no, I think it goes hand in hand a little bit with, I think, how our group's been playing the last month and kind of whatever it takes. And a lot of times, like you mentioned it, I don't know that we scored that many ugly goals in one weekend before last weekend. But it's part of, like you said, it's part of playoff hockey and late season hockey. The defending's so good, the ice is tight, and you have to be willing to try to get those second and third opportunities.
Yeah, we saw that kind of come together for the defensive core, Luke. And I want to kind of talk about your D core specifically and the guys behind you, specifically David Rennick. David Rennick was a guy who has really had a good month of March and really kind of started to grow as the season has gone along, as well as the defensive core as well. Has there been kind of, a message to the defensive core about some areas of growth that you guys felt that you finally kind of broken through this past weekend? And also, what's it like playing in front of David Rennick? Is he as happy as he is off the ice when he's standing holding a puck in his hand after making a big save?
Yeah, we got a big defense core with, we all got long sticks. So I think the main focus for us was being able to use that the right way and being able to use our big bodies to, glue guys on the wall and box them out when they're trying to get to our net. And I think that was a main focus for us, coming into this year. We got Dave Shayak as the new assistant coach back there. And, we loved Gibby and we loved everything he had. And, Shayak just kind of piggyback off him, and he brought some new things that he saw that we could work on as a defensive core. And, we all bought into it. And as you can tell that, we've been successful because we're all open-minded and we all believe that what he's telling us is best for, ourselves and the team. And going back to David, yeah, he's a character. He's a great guy. You don't really ever see him, as serious as he is on the ice. Off the ice, he's the happy, laughy guy, but when he's on the ice, when he's locked in, you can tell. And then that big smile comes back after the third period buzzer goes, and the Huskies get a big W. So he's been playing some really great hockey, and we're excited to see him keep standing on his head back there for us and making the big saves when we do have a breakdown. Because as much as we work on all the systems and all the techniques back there, it's a game of hockey, and there's going to be breakdowns, and it gives us the trust and the faith that David's back there and he's going to be able to make the stop for us.
Guys, I got one more question for each of you. Again, thanks for joining us. Nick, I'll start with you. It's obviously it's the goal for every team in the offseason to get to this point in the season. It's something you prepare for. It's something that emotionally, it's one thing where, you think about what it might mean or what it might feel like when you get here. Well, here you are, right? You're a couple of days from heading out to the East Coast, to the PPG Paints Arena to potentially bring some hardware home that nobody else has done in Huskies history. But I guess as a coach, how do you keep away the distractions? How do you just focus on, the task at hand and not allow the moment to be much bigger than what it is? And then Luke, I'll ask you a secondary question once I hear from Nick here.
It's I think there's always a lot more fanfare and a lot more outside stuff that comes along when you make the Frozen Four, right? Your family getting them tickets, they're all going out to watch you play, different media obligations throughout the week. So I think the best thing is to get that stuff out of the way early. But in all honesty, my favorite part of today with all the video stuff and all the other things going on was we got on the ice for 50 minutes and Coxie was snapping some pucks around and our forwards are out there forechecking some of our defensemen today. And we got better. And that's, I think that's what you have to enjoy the work that goes into it. And you don't have many skates left to get this thing tidied up and put a bow on it and be ready to go Thursday. So I think that's the thing I think when I went through it as a player, it goes quick. And so I think now I'm just trying to enjoy that day to day and enjoy being around the guys and enjoy that preparation. And because it is still a hockey game and it's going to be a good one. And we're excited. We're ready to go. And I think the boys are ready.
And then look to finish off here for you. We talked about it before we started recording, just the moment on the bench when Mike and Miller's empty netter went in, when the bench essentially erupted, you knew that you had just punched your ticket to get this opportunity, right? But at the end of the day, it isn't over, right? It's good to celebrate, you have your 5 minutes of fun, but then to try to recapture yourself and feel good. I guess, how are you approaching this next week? And first of all, obviously you're going to be excited, no question about it. But I guess, from your perspective, how you trying to, look past the fanfare, the media, the fact that you're traveling with all the national attention on you, how you're just trying to focus on going out there, playing 60-minute hockey game and trying to just get yourself to the next one. Yeah.
When Mike put that empty netter in, it was kind of a little sigh of relief for a couple minutes there. We were able to celebrate and, we'd finally, because the teams I've been on here at St. Cloud State, we've had some heartbreaks in the regionals. And when we went into this year, not looking at the past, but looking at what we have to do there and then. And, we were able to get the job done. But yeah, this week going into it, there's always, the talk or the thought of, it's how big the games are and stuff like that. But, we come to the rink every day and we put the work in. And, when you're out on the ice, you're not focused on any of that. You're just focused on what you need to do out there and what is going to make the team better and what's going to prepare us for when we do get out to Pittsburgh. And, we're all excited. It's been a different year. That's for sure. We haven't really done, what the normal college guys do, throughout the season. We've kind of just been, we've been very determined on staying healthy, staying COVID clear, all that. And to make all the sacrifices that we have this year going into the, making it all the way to the Frozen Four, it's a special feeling that, you're getting, the accomplishment feeling after all the sacrifices. So we're just going in here, with our nose to the grindstone and we're ready to put the work in and, hopefully, we can come out on top.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, boys. Final question from me for each of you. Nick, I want to start with you. Obviously, like you mentioned, you've been there as a player, first time as a coach. You've got Dave Shayak on your bench, who's had the experience, albeit way earlier in the decades, if you will. And Brett Larson has been there very recently in history. How much do you three lean on each other and really work on that kind of experience to really prepare this group. And above all, just kind of recapture, I know you've talked about the boys and how the team is excited, but for you personally, how excited are you to go back to a Frozen Four for the first time since 2013? And how excited are you that it's once again in Pittsburgh?
Coach Shayak, 30 years ago, national champion at Northern Michigan.
Yeah,
30 on the nose. He told me that on the flight home from Albany. He reached over and said, "Ollie, 30 years ago, I won it as a player." He goes, "I want to get another one now as a coach." So that's our goal. But no, obviously, Coach Shayak's been around it a long time. Coach Larson has had a ton of success in this tournament, and he's won it a couple of times. So for sure, it's great to hear their perspective. And I think that's probably the thing I enjoy most about our coaching staff is how much fun we have together at the rink and how well we get along and collaborating and communicating. So all that's good. But no, yeah, like for me personally, like I'm excited to get our guys ready to play as best I can, and in all honesty, I mean, then I'm excited to watch. Like I'm excited to watch our guys go out there and play, and that's where I get my satisfaction. And this year, like Luke mentioned, these guys they've sacrificed so much all year, and it's fun to now be able to see those guys go out and compete and play for each other. And have fun doing it and chase those dreams, right? And chase that championship. So I'm excited to work here for the next week and then kick my feet up and watch the guys go out and play.
Yeah. Before I kick it off to Mr. Max and Luke, my final question for you, listening to Nick Oliver talk about that and the three guys that are on your coaching staff that they've been there, done that, right? 4 years ago, I'm sure, obviously, like many players, you were excited to just pull on that St. Cloud jersey. And after 4 years of hard work, some heartache, some ups and downs, you have an opportunity here, for not only the boys in the room, but that coaching staff that, hopefully you run through a wall for. What does this moment mean for you to continue to try to keep the train rolling? And ultimately, if you had to say to St. Cloud State Huskies fans, what does it mean to all the boys in the locker room?
Yeah, we're fired up, and our coaching staff we think they're the best in the nation. They care about us as hockey players, but over hockey, they care about us as people, and they're always asking us, how you doing, what's going on, anything like that. If they can tell, they can tell by your practice if anything is bothering you off the ice. You're not practicing right. They'll come up and see how you're doing as a person. And they put their faith in us and they put their trust in us, and we have trust in them 100%. Of their structure and just everything that they bring and offer to us, knowledge wise, and having a coaching staff that close to their players, it really makes the losses, throughout the season. It makes the losses hurt, losing some games in the pot or throughout the season like that. You feel like you kind of let your team down, but you also kind of let your coaches down when the whole team isn't playing up to their potential. So, but the mood in the locker room right now going into Pittsburgh is, we're fired up. This has been, a pretty unreal season with, going down to the pod in Omaha for a month and then, just playing, all conference games this year was kind of different. So, it's been a different kind of year, but, we've been working this hard for months now. So we're excited to, get out to Pittsburgh and, we're really looking forward to playing that first game there against Mankato, and that's what we're focused on.
Well, boys, before we tag it out, I know I don't normally do this kind of thing, but I think it's appropriate for the situation that we're in. For those who are in the Twin Cities area, you listen to KFN, and before Sunday morning Vikings game, I had the opportunity to talk with this gentleman once, and his name is Greg Coleman, and he has a little segment he does what's called Sunday morning sermons. And effectively what we want to do here at the Huskies Warming House podcast is leave you with a couple of thoughts here before you head out to Pittsburgh. First of all, what a treat it has been to cover and watch you guys this year. I think, from, I suppose, even back in the summertime, not knowing, if you would have a season, and if we did, what it was going to look like, how many games we're going to play. And then credit to Josh Fenton and the entire crew of the NCHC conference for putting on the pod and only missing 2 games out of the entire conference schedule. You guys have a really good run in the Frozen face-off, and then you come out. You have 2 really good showings there against BC and BU. But I'll tell you what, here, myself now as a broadcaster, as a Husky student, as a fan, I can speak for a lot of guys out there here in Minnesota as well as around the St. Cloud area. Man, we're pulling for you. We believe in you, and we truly feel like you guys have a chance to do something special. We're behind you. Good luck. And pardon the French, but go kick some ass. We do really think you guys have a chance to bring home some hardware. And just remember this, no matter what happens, you've done us proud. You've made us all, just really, really happy to watch this team because nothing to hang your head on. But go ahead. You guys are not done yet. Go out there and take it, man. This is your time. Go out there and do it.
Yeah, I definitely would add on to that. Like Luke, you mentioned, and like Nick, you guys have mentioned, I mean, you guys are hockey guys, it. And obviously we try to be a little bit professional on this show, but I think the biggest thing is, when we've gotten to cover this group and seeing how you boys will lay down, for the guy next to you and, what you guys have done for your coaching staff and just the camaraderie in that locker room. I think for Nick and I, we can both speak that you guys even offer us a little sliver and a little window into what that environment is like. I can only imagine what it's like to be you guys and have this opportunity. And I just want you guys to enjoy it, have some fun, like Nick mentioned, kick some ass. And hey, if you bring a little hardware home, it's not the worst thing in the world either. So Nick Oliver and Luke Jaycox, boys, you got anything else to add for us here? Once again, we thank you for for taking the time out of your guys' busy schedule and pretty exciting week here for St. Cloud State hockey.
No, we the Herb might have been empty this year, but we knew the city of St. Cloud was behind us. It was a different year, not playing in front of fans. And, we appreciate your guys' support. Like I said, they might have been quiet in the rink during some games, but we knew that we had, fans and beauties like yourself cheering for us. And, we appreciate it.
I love it. Gotta love it when you get called a beauty, right, Nick? Nick, I think that will do it for episode number 55 of the Healthy Scratch interview segment. Once again, Luke Jaycox and Nick Oliver, a couple beauties themselves, looking good as always and look ready to kick some ass here coming up in Pittsburgh in the Frozen Four. Once again, thank you to Luke Jaycox and Nick Oliver for taking their time. We wish them the best of luck, obviously, in this upcoming week, a big week here for St. Cloud State hockey. Nick, a couple things that we did mention previously. Again, we are going to try to do a live show, time to be announced probably later in the day around 6 or 7 o'clock Central Time, at least on that Wednesday, for fans to come in, ask us some questions. We'll have some things prepped already, but just in case, we're more than happy to answer anything in the live chat. We will release more details, so don't be surprised if we have a YouTube video or an audio soundbite or something on Twitter coming out, because it is a work in progress. And again, as many listeners might have noted, obviously this is normally when Center Ice View comes out, so I'm sure fans are a little bit kind of confused because of the quick turnover, and that's not intentional from us. We just had the idea, and it's something that is very fluid, and we'll keep you up to date as that goes on. Another thing to mention as well, the Frozen Four will happen. We will have our normal show again the following Sunday. We will hopefully, as far as the one we have scheduled with our current guest that is slated to come on, hopefully coming out as normal on that Tuesday after the Frozen Four. And then we will be taking a week off from the Huskies Warming House podcast. Working very hard here, a little bit tired. And I'm actually working a tournament as well that weekend. And my time is occupied for other things. So a lot of moving parts. I know that's a lot of information for our listeners. We'll keep you up to date. And I think that's all I got here, Nick. So for Noah Grant, for Nick Maxson, I'm Noah Grant, and we will see you from the Huskies Warming House podcast.
And your one-timer coming, they score! Ripped in! A bomb from Pervix!
So Dana Rasmussen fires and she scores! Dana Rasmussen for the Huskies along.
Kaprizov in for a chance to win it. He scores! Kirill the Thrill is for real. Welcome to the NHL. A game winner.
St. Cloud Cathedral is now 42.6 seconds away from wrapping up the school's first ever title.